R&B diva, Stephanie Mills. She's up next. That's right, we're talking about Stephanie Mills. Let's talk. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing out there? Hey, first and foremost, I want to say thank you guys so much for all your support and so on and so forth. And well, I was looking at the numbers for the Stephanie Mills video that I did about Dion Cole. Stephanie Mills and Dion Cole's interaction on the Breakfast Club, and you guys quickly got that up to over 1,000 views. And I was like, okay, you guys love some Stephanie Mills over here. As a matter of fact, Stephanie Mills, when I talk about her, I get a lot of interaction over here, I've noticed. And so I was like, okay, well, let me just go ahead on and give my viewers what they want. And it seemed like you guys want more Stephanie Mills. Matter of fact, Stephanie Mills' video is one of my highest videos on my channel that I did on her last year when she was talking about, Beyonce, in comparison, Beyonce and Diana Ross and so on and so forth. And you guys quickly got that up to 7,000 views. And so I was like, okay, this video got to 1,000 real quick with the last video I did on Stephanie Mills. And so I said, okay, let's talk about Stephanie Mills. And I love Stephanie Mills. That's right, Stephanie Mills. All right. I have a couple of her, or a few of her CDs. Okay, Stephanie Mills. Yep, Stephanie Mills. Stephanie Mills. Yeah, so I have some Stephanie Mills music over here, and she is my favorite. I was going to eventually get around to talking about her, but it is what it is. So let's dive right into it, shall we? What do I want to say about Stephanie Mills? Well, if you are a new viewer, then I should tell you what I pretty much do over here. For the most part, I do album reviews, okay? Album reviews and book reviews regarding my favorite, R&B divas, and I also do Soulman as well. And that's what I do. I go in, I listen to the music again, and then I just talk about the music. Every now and then, as I said before, I might dish out the dirt on who dropped kicked who in these entertainment streets, especially if it has something to do with the album. But sometimes if it has nothing to do with the album, then I'm like, I don't know, do I want to talk about it, so on and so forth. And I can do it, trust me, and I keep saying that, in videos that, yeah, I mean, I can really dish out the dirt if I wanted to. I'm just talking about in general, like the other gossip channels and all of that stuff, but why? Why? It's not necessary. I don't think so. So anyway, let's talk first and foremost how I came across Stephanie Mills. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about her first album, Moving in the Right Direction. I've never heard the album at all. I've never heard any of the songs on the album except, of course, for Home, and I think on this album, one of the albums I have, I think it's this one. I think it has the original version of Home on this Greatest Hits album of hers, the original version. So that was the only song that I've heard by Stephanie Mills on her first album. But how did I come across Stephanie Mills? Well, I came across Stephanie Mills going through my mother's music at the time. My mother, she, of course, had her albums and everything and her 45s and all that stuff. And I came across Stephanie Mills's album, or rather single, I've Learned to Respect the Power of Love. And that single, I think, on the B side was Stand Back. So those were pretty much the only two songs that I recall from Stephanie Mills. That was it. And my mother, as I said, had the album. Well, not the album, but the single. And I listened to it and played it and so on and so forth. It is what it is. That was my first introduction to Stephanie Mills, if you will. I've Learned to Respect the Power of Love. I've talked about that song before. Stephanie Mills, Angela Winbush, and Alton McClain and Destiny. I talked about that video. So if you haven't seen those, probably what I'm going to do is put the link in the description box below for all of those Stephanie Mills fans out there. That's what I'm going to do, is put those links in there so you guys won't have to, go through the channel to kind of search for them. But I talked about that as well. And that was it. And then from that point on, that's when I became a Stephanie Mills fan, because I think she released I Learned to Respect the Power of Love in 1985, right? Then in 1987, she released If I Were Your Woman. In 1989, she released Home. In 1992, I think she released the album Something Real. All right. And so that's where I'm familiar with Stephanie Mills in those albums. So anything before that, I only know her based off those singles like Sweet Sensation, What You Gonna Do With My Lovin'. But there is a song I came across by Stephanie Mills that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love it. There's a song she has called Put Your Body Into It. If that song don't make you move, and I've watched her perform it maybe once or twice. I've never been to a Stephanie Mills concert, but I've seen a performance of hers once or twice with her singing that song. And I didn't know that it was kind of like a popular song for her to actually sing live. But once I heard that song, as soon as I heard it, I love it. Yeah, so Put Your Body Into It is a great song. And speaking of putting your body into it, she definitely wanted to put her body into Dion Cole. Hey, it is what it is. Now, let's talk. And I think it's a good place to start with talking about the Diana Ross video when she was talking about Diana Ross. Where was she? I don't know. Was she on Vlad? I don't know what show was Stephanie Mills on when she was talking about that. Was it Vlad? Maybe she was on Vlad TV. But anyway, Stephanie Mills says Diana Ross and Beyonce are not in the same lane. All right, that was the video. And again, I talked about that. And this is not Diana Ross and the Beyonce, but where I'm going with this is with this album, moving in the right direction after listening to it. Get Stephanie Mills on the phone. Get Stephanie Mills on the phone. Whew. All right, Stephanie, here we go. Let's talk. This album was definitely a great album. I know a lot of people will probably say, oh, well, you say that about a lot of albums. No, for me, not really knowing the time frame in which this album, 1974 is when this album was released, and I definitely was not born in 1974. So I'm not familiar, if you will, with the sounds of the 70s, so to speak. I am definitely a 70s baby, but I'm not familiar with the sounds of the 70s. You see what I'm saying? So I heard that music, but the music that got my attention would pretty much be the music of the early 80s and probably the late 70s, which would probably be like 1979. So I would say 1979, 1978. That music, because I think it would be good to say that music is changing during that time, and it's definitely laying the foundation for what I'm going to hear in the early 80s and the mid 80s and late 80s and so on and so forth. So I think it's good to say it's laying the foundation. So overall, in general, I love the album, and I think the album is perfectly titled for Stephanie Mills, moving in the right direction, because this album definitely shows that the intentions are to move Stephanie Mills in the right direction. Okay, and I don't know of any interviews that Stephanie Mills has said about her first album, but I definitely would say that that album was very promising. And there are some things about the album, however, that I was like, interesting. And what I love about myself is that I need to give myself more credit. I really do. Because as I'm listening to the song and I'm writing down what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking as soon as the music is about to play, what I'm doing is I'm thinking about what I think is going to happen with the album, like based off, okay, what kind of feel am I in right now? You know, what kind of mood, what am I anticipating? This is my approach. What am I anticipating getting ready to listen to the album? I haven't heard it yet, but what am I thinking? Like, what is the feel? And so as soon as I heard the first song, if I heard the album in its order, the proper order, when I first heard the first single, Moving in the Right Direction, and I'm listening to it, I'm thinking Barry White. That was the first thing. It's the orchestra. I'm thinking, this is Barry White. Moving in the Right Direction is so Barry White. When I first heard it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I'm good. Because as I said that, guess what? She mentions Barry White in the song. I was like, come on, Peppy, you good. You're good. You need to give yourself more credit, Peppy. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Appreciate it. I do. But if you listen to it, like it's that I definitely feel like it's a song that Barry White would sing or his orchestra. This is a Barry White production. So that's what I love about the song Moving in the Right Direction. Okay. And basically, as I said, Stephanie Mills from the very beginning, with this being her first album, I'm saying to myself, Stephanie Mills has a beautifully unique voice. I love her voice. I love her tone. I can't. There's like a tremble to me in her voice, a tremble, right? I don't know what to call it that I'm hearing, but yeah, it's kind of like a wave, a tremble that I'm hearing in her voice, and I love it, you know. And I'm saying to myself, like, I can't think, because this is 70s. You have to think about it. This is 70s. So I'm like, who sounds like Stephanie Mills? We're going to get to that, okay? And so that's why I'm going. I'm like, who sounds like Stephanie Mills? All right, but a beautiful voice. I can't think of another singer that sounds like her. And as I said before, the album is very promising, and this is definitely a song for Barry White. I can see Barry White singing this song and his orchestra playing this song. I can. Hats off to you, Stephanie Mills. So you definitely are on a good start. Then I get to the next song, All of These Things. And as I said before, I have to keep in mind that this album was released in the mid 70s. So if this album is released in the mid 70s, guess what I'm thinking? If you're thinking what I'm thinking, then you are definitely my people, and we are on the same wave, right? And what is that? It's 70s. It's Stephanie Mills in that video saying that Diana Ross and Beyonce are not in the same lane. Guess what? When I hear this song, right? You already know where I'm going. All of these things, I'm saying Diana Ross. I'm like, this is Diana Ross. This is Diana Ross. And also, as I'm thinking now, like this is Diana Ross, and I'm getting this Diana Ross feel to it, then I happen to try to find the album credits, right? And I noticed that Luther Vandross shows up as one of the background singers on this album. Okay, he's listed. It doesn't say which song, but he's listed as one of the background singers, and I'm like, whoa. All right, Stephanie Mills, Luther Vandross, Diana Ross. I'm like, wow, this is good company. Good company, as in it sounded like Diana Ross, Barry White, as I said before, Luther Vandross. And so all of these artists that I eventually come into the 80s enjoying, to see that they're all there in the mix together with that Diana Ross influence and that Barry White influence. I'm like, I'm really digging this. So it makes sense at this moment in time that she would sound similar, or they would give her material that seems like it would be fit for Diana Ross. To me, I was like, definitely, Diana Ross is the diva of that era. You see? So this is great. I love it. So moving right along, there's another song called I Never Loved Nobody Else But You. And this album, I think Stephanie Mills eventually gets over to Motown, doesn't she? I don't know. I'm going to find that out. I think she eventually finds her way over at Motown. I'm not sure. I think she does. Doesn't Stephanie show up at Motown? I can't recall. I don't know. I don't know if she released maybe one album on Motown, but either way, whether she did or not, and I think I'm going to find out, because what I'm going to do, here's what I'm doing. I'm telling you, because y'all love Stephanie Mills so much, I'm definitely going to cover all her albums, and I'm going to do it in the individual video for you guys. Like I said, thank you guys so much for watching the Stephanie Mills video. So this song reminds me of Motown. That's what I was saying. This song definitely reminds me of Motown. So it's a Motown song. It's a Motown feel. I Never Loved Nobody Else But You, and it's what it is. Then we get to another song called My Baby's Melody. Once again, this song is definitely fit for Diana Ross. I can see why Diana Ross, this song fits Diana Ross. I can see again where Stephanie Mills is giving material and she's beginning to sound like Diana Ross. So I can see why they would do that. And again, she's definitely Diana Ross, the diva of the day, the diva of the era. And so it just makes perfect sense. And there you have it, another Diana Ross style song. The next song, Sweet Salvation, it's okay. If there's ever a song on the album that, you can't like every song on the album, not all the time, right? So Sweet Salvation will probably be the song that I'm like, nah, it's okay. I can do without it, but it's okay. It doesn't hurt the album at all. But at the same time, I'm like, hit or miss. You can miss me with it. Then we get to the song Home. Now with the song Home, and this is the original song, I decided what I wanted to do. And sometimes the songs that I've heard before, like the songs I know, I kind of skip those songs because I've heard them before. But this time what I decided to do is I decided to listen to this original song. And listening to it, I see why Home, whether it's the original version or the version that she sings on the 1989 album Home, either versions, I can see why Home is her signature song. I can see that. Because on this album, Home, she has, how do I want to say it? Like, she's herself. I don't think she's pretending. And you just got to be mindful with your divas and how you word certain things, because it's like, what, pretending? No, I think she's comfortable. I think she's right in her lane. Home is right in her lane. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't sound like she's trying to be Diana. She's not trying to have the Motown feel. She's not trying to have the Barry White, feel, so on and so forth. Like, this is Stephanie Mills. Home is definitely Stephanie Mills, this original version. And I love the way she handles the song. And during this particular time, it's not over the top. and for this to be Broadway, right? And Broadway, I didn't think about that. Ooh, see, I like it when sometimes I just get ideas that just fall into my head. Her version of Home, and it's her signature song, right? Broadway. But if you think about Stephanie Mills' version of Home, and when you think about Jennifer Holliday's Broadway song, and I'm telling you, her original version, do you see that each one of these ladies owns this song? And while some people can say Jennifer Holliday's, and I'm telling you, it's like over the top, but Stephanie Mills' Home is not over the top. The original version is not like over the top, but it is her signature song. So for a person such as myself, I love Stephanie's version of Home that she does on the 1989 album Home. I love it because that would be called her over the top version, of Home. And I like it that she just let it rips. I love how Take Six handles the background vocals. I love how the background vocals are arranged on that version of Home. But again, this is Stephanie Mills definitely, if she's moving in the right direction on this album, right? And in her career, it's moving in the right direction, then Home would definitely be her signature song, but it definitely showcases her signature style. So when I am saying to myself, like, okay, can you kind of feel find a diva that sounds similar to Stephanie Mills, so on and so forth? This is when you say she's her unique self, right? So I love this about Stephanie Mills and her Home. So shout out to you, Stephanie. Like I do like it a lot. So I don't think she's trying to imitate anything here on this album. Okay. Then we get to the next song, which is called I Knew It Was Love. Now, listen, I knew it was love as soon as it plays, it comes on. I know I'm going to love this song. So when I tell you guys that I became familiar with Stephanie Mills in 1985 and onward, I Knew It Was Love would be one of those songs that I think would fit well in her catalog, during her mid to late 80s era. It would fit well in there, and she wouldn't have to do too much to the song. This is soulful. This would be the song that would come to help her get those 5 consecutive number 1 hits, right? At MCA. Was it 5 consecutive number 1 hits? Well, I don't know if it's 5 consecutive number 1 hits, but I do know it was be 3 gold albums and 5 number 1s on MCA, right? Because you have The Power of Love, If I Were Your Woman. No, take that back. Hold on. I'm trying to remember you guys. The Power of Love. You Put in a Rush on Me. There's another number 1 on that album. I Feel Good All Over. That's it. Something in the Way You Make Me Feel, and Home. So that's 5 number 1s on MCA record and 3 consecutive gold albums. So for that song, I Knew It Was Love, that would be what I would call that 80s type of soul music that was definitely of the time. So right now, I Knew It Was Love is my favorite song on the album. It's my favorite song. I love it. Out of all the songs on the album right now, that's the one that I love the most. Then you get to the next song, You Do It To Me. And once again, I'm hearing Diana Ross. And on this particular song, I am definitely like, this is Diana Ross. Go back and listen to that song. Okay, please go back and You Do It To Me. Once again, I'm hearing Diana Ross. It's streaming, yelling, like in your face. This is Diana Ross. Now, let me just say something, if I can say. It sounds to me as if Stephanie Mills, and I am not really putting it up there, that's just me. out of all of the people that probably have tried to sound like Diana Ross, I'm just saying, I'm just saying, it's between me and you. You ain't got to tell nobody else. But Stephanie Mills can probably do a good, interpretation of a Diana Ross song. Like I wonder what Stephanie Mills would sound like singing Diana Ross, one of Diana Ross's songs. Like it doesn't matter. Mahogany, it doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? Like I want to hear her sing one of the ballads, and ooh, I think she'll do a great job. I do. Listening to this album, you can definitely tell that they're trying to stylize her like Diana Ross, from a musical standpoint. Is what it is. I could be wrong. It's my opinion. And then there's another song on the album called I Don't Want to Go Back. That's a favorite of mine, and it's another Diana Ross style song to me. Like this album, I have to say, I have several cuts on this album right now that I am saying Diana Ross, Diana Ross, Diana Ross, Diana Ross. I got 1, 2. So what are the songs that I'm saying Diana Ross? What are the songs? Of all of these things, Diana Ross. My Baby's Melody, Diana Ross. Okay. You Do It To Me, Diana Ross. I Don't Want to Go Back, Diana Ross. Diana Ross. Like those songs, those 4 songs on this album, it's Diana Ross. And then, of course, she does some songs such as Danny Boy. I have to listen to that again. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, so I'm not really going to discuss Danny Boy. But the last song is Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I was bracing myself when I saw Somewhere Over the Rainbow, the song. I was bracing myself. I was like, Somewhere Over the Rainbow is not a song that I've connected with Stephanie Mills. And so I was bracing myself because I know that Stephanie Mills is definitely one singing woman. You know what I'm saying? I said it just like that, singing woman. And I'm just sitting back as I go down and I see that I am about to listen to Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I'm bracing myself because I'm like, she's going to eat this up. I wonder what this is going to be like, And then I hear it. I'm not disappointed. I'm just surprised that they decided to produce these songs the way they did. It's an up-tempo track. It's Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but it's up-tempo. And I just don't know why they decided to make it up-tempo for whatever reason. I don't. It's not a bad production. For me, I don't want to hear Somewhere Over the Rainbow, in an up-tempo form. I want to hear it in the ballad or in the slow style that it is supposed to be sung in, that I know it should be sung in. And so that's another thing. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe Stephanie will one day in one of her shows say, you know what, let me do Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I did it before. Let me do it again and do it the way that it's supposed to be done. But then again, that's like Patti LaBelle's signature song, right? And of course, we know from my understanding that Patti LaBelle and Stephanie Mills are acquainted. I'm not going to say good friends. I'm sure they are. They were once label mates. And as a matter of fact, I think, Patti LaBelle is the one who says, and let me just say, because I'm tired, y'all. See, when I get tired, I know what I need to do. I need to say allegedly. Patti LaBelle, talked about the fact that she got a nose job, and it was because of Stephanie Mills' influence in that area that made her want to get a nose job. And so, having said that, I do know that Stephanie Mills and Patti LaBelle, just for saying that, definitely has some kind of, association. They are acquainted, and so that's the reason why I'm bringing up Somewhere Over the Rainbow. She might not want to do it because it's kind of like could be stepping on Patti LaBelle's toes. Like, no, I might want to leave it alone. That's Patty's song. Like, yeah, I did record it once, you know, in the beginning, but it's not a song that I want to go back to. But I would think that, you know, for whatever reason, they probably wanted to slow it down. But we know it's Patty's. But I definitely would like to know what it would be like for Stephanie to sing it, because we know she would eat it up. Yeah. So anyway, having said that, again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And if you made it this far in my commentary, I think it's only appropriate for me to say, hey, listen here, you guys, hit the like button, the subscribe button, the share button, so on and so forth. I'm looking forward to talking about Stephanie Mills. That's right, for each album. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to listen to each album. I'm going to do my reviews. So thank you guys for, you know, making Stephanie Mills very popular over here on my channel. You know, I thank you guys. So I know you guys are going to definitely, you know, share this video and like it and so on and so forth. Thank you guys so much. And as I said before, my motto over here is simple. Over here, I say, put your behind where your heart desires to be. And whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, baby, remember, I love you, but God loves you best. I look forward to seeing you next video. And until then, you should know what to do. Take care of you, right? Take care of you. You need you. We need you. Take care of yourself now. All right. See you next video.